crapping out.
I forgot to hit the record button again.
Oh.
Even though I have to think.
Well,
Anyway.
it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, exactly. So we won't have Jim Downpour on the show tonight. I don't know how long he'll talk. This is the longest I've spoken at any one period of time since I had the temporary plate put in. Mosquito. Oh, it's still you, Shawn. I know. I even have a thing that pops up and says hit record. I didn't even hit. So we're not going to have Jim Downpour on the show. I don't know how long I can talk. I haven't spoken for any length of time since I had the dentures put in. But it's very interesting. You guys are all saying, everyone in the IRC chat room said, you don't hear a difference in the sound of my voice.
No, the sound of your voice is exactly the same.
To
Occasionally
me,
you get the little that's it. Occasionally.
Yeah.
But that's it.
To me, I'm in my own head, I sound like crap. I'm not pronouncing words the way I think I should be and think I have in the past. So that's kind of interesting that you guys don't hear the same thing I hear. And now one of the things is, and we've talked about this before, most of us hate the sound of our own voices. And people don't realize why. It's because when you hear your voice recorded, you're hearing it completely differently. When you're talking, you hear your voice not through the air, through your ears, but through the jaw, through the bones of your skull. That's why your voice sounds different to you when it's recorded versus when you're speaking. And we all go, "Ooh, I don't," okay, because it's a completely different sound. But that's not it. The timbre of my voice still sounds the same as I expect it to. It feels like I'm saying words differently. And again, it's because I got this chunk of metal and plastic in my head. Could you go get the Oral-B?
Oh, I thought you were going to say your teeth. Hopefully they're in your head.
I would never ask you that. Never ever ask you that. The dentist suggested this really cool, not suggested, no, he didn't actually suggest it, but he had for sale this really interesting toothbrush. Now, you, Kim, you don't like electric toothbrushes, do you?
No, I've never used. I've tried using them, and I've tried one of those pick things, the water pick, but I don't like it. I'm old-fashioned, old school.
You don't. You don't like electric for what reason?
I don't know.
Just because it's different?
Yeah.
She's apt at saying just no to everything.
Yeah, I'm good at saying no.
So it's just a regular everyday electric toothbrush. You know, you push the button and the top bit. And I've never had a real big problem with electrics. The issue I have is that sometimes when you get the metal bit touching your teeth or bone in your skull. But this was really interesting because it's got an app, like everything does. And so when you start, I'll push the button. When you start brushing, wrong button. When you start brushing, see how the app is going to, any second now, see, it starts timing it. So it times you, because you're supposed to brush for at least 2 minutes. And so the app will let you know how long you've been brushing. It will let you know how long you've been brushing various quadrants of your mouth. It will also remind you to floss. It will also remind you to brush your tongue. It will also remind you to change brush heads. And there's, I think, 4 or 5 different brush heads for this thing. And the other weird thing about the app, and I thought this was really strange when I first started using it, and then I actually got used to it, is you see at the bottom, it has a news feed. So as you're brushing, it gives you the daily news and temperature and weather and all kinds of other things like that. There's video news and photo news, and it's kind of strange. There's news about the World Cup. And it does it automatically. You don't have to touch it. As you're brushing, the news items come by on the screen, which is kind of neat. Because for me anyway, what it does is, as I'm brushing, I'm reading these little news bits, and I brush longer than I was expecting. At first, I thought, I'll brush naturally, and I realized, I'm only brush for about a minute. So using this, it made me brush longer. And reading the news bits, because I'm a news junkie, I was brushing for 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Look at that. This is kind of interesting. The other thing you learn very quickly with an electric toothbrush is don't take it out of your mouth while it's still spinning.
That's what some of the guys were saying in the chat room.
Because you get toothpaste everywhere. You only do that once or twice. And the other problem with electric, I never had with regular brush, you drool a lot. I don't know why electrics make you drool more. So you're brushing, and I guess because this isn't making a seal with your mouth, all of a sudden you have toothpaste running down your face.
Nice.
Which is kind of strange. But this was, I think it's $200 Canadian at Walmart. It's only $140 at my dentist. It's kind of cool. It's a little travel case with it, and again, the brush heads are removable. There's different brush heads for different teeth and different things that you want to do. So I guess the important thing is at least brush for at least 2 minutes. Use a Siri timer or whatever you need to do. That's the important thing, according to dentists, is that you brush all 4 quadrants for at least 2 minutes in total. So that's 30 seconds, inside note, upper right, upper left, lower right, lower left. MacMan says he's been using a Sonic Care for months. Mosquito says I look like a rabid dog when I brush. Mosquito, I've never brushed my tongue. Yeah, well, brushing your tongue is more of a bad breath thing. Than I think, well, that's dental hygiene too. So yeah. MacMan, have you made the mistake of opening your mouth with a toothbrush? Yeah, absolutely. Just because I'm an idiot. What I did was I'm brushing, and it was like, I wonder what that looks like. And I pulled it out. And so now it's like, oh, Jesus, oh, it's just no way. The other cool thing about the app is that it keeps statistics for you. So it lets you know how long you brushed for that day, for that week, and then for the month. And it keeps track with these little numbers. So you see I brushed, and it's wrong sometimes because there's a couple times here it says I only brush once a day, but I've brushed at least twice a day since I started going through all this stuff. But it tells you your total brushing sessions, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of neat. It like I said, it gamifies brushing your teeth, which is kind of cool. So yeah, we won't have Jim Downpour on the show tonight. It'll be probably a shorter show. Probably going to go for another half an hour. Because I can feel this is not as. I'm sure I'll get used to it. But as I said during the pre-show, a lot of saliva is being built up. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, we got better. What are you laughing at?
It's not your prostate life, yeah.
No, we're not. We're never doing that show. That's never going to happen. We're never doing your prostate show. I have to have that exam done too.
But we are doing a prostate ride on Sunday.
Yes, we are.
For charity.
We're doing a charity ride. Both of us. Kim on her new Harley. She's very proud of that. I'm doing a charity ride here in Vancouver for prostate cancer, to support prostate cancer. It's interesting, the motorcycling community seems to do a lot more of these than any other riding community. More so than the Mustang Club or the Corvette Club or things like that. Motorcycle folks, there's probably some sort of charity event going on every Saturday, Sunday from now until probably
end of riding season.
Here in Vancouver. That's October. You all heard of the Toys for Tots stuff, but there's all kinds of other events that are going on for any number of things. So it's great. Shawn King, perhaps an overt note of thanks to YML Kim for helping you through the dental troubles might be in order. So what else we can do in the show? Yes, you are correct. Overt is the right way. I couldn't have done it without support of her. I absolutely couldn't have done it without you telling me it was okay.
Yeah.
That
you were good.
I didn't have anything to be ashamed about. I did.
You had good positive attitude.
And funny you say that, because I did not believe that whatsoever.
You did?
I think I was positive at all.
Stayed positive. Yes, you did.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. But yes, thank you very much for your support.
You're welcome.
All right. There, you happy now, Mo? Ass kisser. Jesus Christ. Don't like that guy. Oops. I hit the wrong button. So what else we got? What else we got to do? Is there something else we had to announce or talk about or say something about? Take care of the woman who takes care of you, Noodlehead. Yes, you were correct. I do a pretty good job taking care of her. I think. I try.
Yes, you should mention what's his name, the guy that suggested
Binky.
GoFundMe.
I
You
did.
did in your pre thing, but
No,
not on the show.
Didn't I?
No, I think
Okay.
it was in the pre.
Uh,
Yes, Dave D.
Doesn't
Thank
matter.
you.
I'll do it again. I couldn't have done this either without the idea from Binky, John Welch, who suggested the GoFundMe campaign. I had never even crossed my mind because I thought I'd talked about this already. One of the issues is this stuff is expensive, and I didn't have the money for it. There was no way I was able to afford even the relatively short-term minor stuff I've gone through in the last month. Couldn't have afforded it. So Binky's suggestion to GoFundMe and then me doing it was like, wow, mind-blowing. It was fantastic. And also a huge thanks to John Gruber. Because of Gruber's support, his audience, complete stranger for the most part, donated a huge amount of money, insane amounts of money. The YML audience donated enough in the first 2 days to make it really easy to make a better choice. But the Gruber audience made it incredibly easy to go into dentist
To do
and go
proper long term.
do a proper long term. Go to the dentist.
Yeah.
And, okay, what do I got to do to fix this? Well, the cheapest. No. Tell me how to fix this. Don't worry about cheap. And the doctor didn't even go, oh. He was like, okay, here are your options from cheapest to most expensive to short term to long term to just get it done to good quality of life type stuff. So the GoFundMe campaign, the YML audience, and the Gruber audience made it possible for me to look to the dentist and say, what's the best quality of life thing I can do? And it made a huge difference. The biggest difference it made, folks, was peace of mind. It was no stress. It was knowing I didn't have to scrimp and save and not ride my motorcycle. That was something I was going to do. I was going to not ride the bike to save on gas and maintenance and tires and gear and all that kind of stuff. To eat ramen noodles for the next year, 3 meals a day. Don't got to do that. Don't got to do all that kind of stuff. So our quality of life has, if nothing else, remained the same, and will get better as these teeth get better. Monty says, I'd never followed Gruber or paid much attention to him online until this. That's changed. I like Gruber. I was really, really surprised and incredibly humbled by what he wrote about me. Because, to be honest, and from what I can be, I didn't think of Gruber as a friend. He was a colleague. He was an acquaintance. He was a guy that I interviewed 10 years ago, well before Daring Fireball got started. He was just thinking about the idea of Daring Fireball. He had written something online, and I interviewed him about it. And so I like Gruber. He can be a bit pompous at times, but so can we all, especially those of us who are in this position in the so-called media. But overall, I like the guy. I think he's a smart guy. He's a very, very smart guy. I'm jealous of his connections. I'm jealous of his success. But that I mean jealous in a good way. I'm pissed that he's never invited me on his show, asshole. But for him to write all those kind words brought tears to my eyes. I was just completely blown away. The funny thing was, you and I had gone. I started the GoFundMe campaign on a Monday morning, and then a Tuesday evening, we'd gone out for Tuesday. We'd gone for a ride after Kim came home from work, and I get home, and on iMessage, I got my friend Vito Mori up in Prince George. I think Mosquito was also mentioned, but a bunch of folks on iMessage going, "Oh my God, have you seen your GoFundMe campaign?" Like, why? What's going on? Gruber mentioned you. I was like, what do you mean Gruber mentioned me? Did he do something on Twitter? So I went on my Twitter account and didn't see anything from Gruber. I said to one of the people, I said, where did you see this? Oh, it's on Daring Fireball. So I went and read the article on Daring Fireball and was just like, oh my God, I can't believe what he wrote. Heartfelt and sincere and wonderful. There's no other way to describe it. And this is Gruber. I immediately sent him an email saying, dude, thank you very much. I can't thank you enough. I haven't heard back from him. What a dick.
He did his thing. He did what he wanted to do.
What a dick.
Cool guy.
But Yeah, he is. And he's fun to talk to. He's fun to, if you ever get a chance to sit down with him. I've seen him at Macworld Expos and WWDCs and all that kind of stuff. Really interesting guy to talk to. And again, very, very smart. Probably one of the smarter guys in the Macintosh community. So thanks very much to John Binky Welch, who's also one of the smartest guys in the Macintosh community, and John Gruber. Mosquito says he swooped in, then disappeared after his job was done like he's the tech blog Batman. Mosquito Gruber is as arrogant as his work requires him to be. That's okay, because I never need to meet or be friends with him. I find him generally in agreement with a lot of what he writes. Yeah, so am I. Noted, what was this about penguin? What? Go ahead.
No, they just commented and they like seeing the penguins in the background. And
What penguins?
Yeah, you love
your penguins.
Penguins. No, it's not a fetish.
A fetish is sexual. I have no sexual feelings towards my penguins. I just like penguins. I just think they're cute. That's the one with the iPad. The iPod.
iPod.
Very cute. Yes. And that's, I can't remember who sent me that one. There's one here.
That's Gromit's.
That's Gromit's penguin, and a bunch of little penguins. We should put the other penguins there, the bowling penguins.
Oh, yes, we should.
I've got Christmas tree ornament penguins. I used to have a 3-foot tall emperor penguin.
That'd be cool.
I don't know whatever happened to him. Whatever happened to that guy? Anyway, yeah, it's not a fetish. Stop it. Let's talk about some news. This is interesting. This can be interesting to see how Kim reacts to this, because she's not a techie. She's not a Mac person. Is that your first time using a Mac?
Yes.
Anything right away, good, bad, or negative about it? We're going to get your thoughts about using a Mac, becoming a Macintosh person.
No, I'd like it. I mean, I like it because it's clean, clean lines. But
okay.
Yeah.
So over the weekend, well-known British author Stephen Fry. You know who Stephen Fry is, right?
Yes.
Stephen Fry wrote an article. He had come to Cupertino to talk to Tim Cook and Johnny Ive, and he broke some news that Johnny Ive got a new job title. Rather than the vice president of something, he was now promoted to chief design officer, relinquishing his day-to-day managerial duties to two new VPs, Richard Howarth and Alan Dye. I think I'll give you that because one of them is British. So these two new guys are basically been elevated in the hierarchy of Apple to take over the day-to-day duties of Johnny Ive. If you remember that New Yorker article that was posted about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, I've talked about how much work he had to do. He's now not only the designer of the physical product, but he was also the designer of the software now too, both iOS and the Mac OS. It's a lot of work for one guy, especially one guy who works for a company who both the company and the guy are such perfectionists. Everything has to be, there's no half measures at Apple. They don't do anything halfway. So some people read into that and this a little too much. Some folks are saying that this is, I think it was 9 to 5 Mac said that this is Jonathan Ive's step out the door. This is him getting ready to leave Apple. I don't think that's what this is all about. I think if Johnny Ive was going to leave Apple, he'd just leave Apple. He wouldn't move up in stages until he's just the design guy and then leave Apple. If he's going to leave after the Apple Watch was announced and shipped, that was the time he was going to leave Apple. If he's ever going to leave for whatever reason, he's obviously going to leave at some point. He may die in the office, but he may decide that he wants to spend more time with his kids or start a new company, whatever it might be. But in the short term, I think what this means is that Jonathan Ive is going to be the chief design officer and not have to worry about the little stuff, the managerial stuff that he had to worry about before. He's handed this stuff off to two other guys who would be the day-to-day managers. If you think of design at Apple as its own company, Johnny Ive is now the CEO of design at Apple. He's the big brain. He's the big thinker, the boss. And he's delegated the day-to-day stuff to these other two guys. One of the things that I've said to Stephen Fry was that this is going to give him the opportunity to travel more. And someone else came up with the idea, well, this means he's going to move back to England, quit his job, move back. No. Travel more does not mean move to England. Guys like Ive, and I got to believe most designers, need and want inspiration. And they get it from various places. Some folks can get inspiration in their backyard. Some folks get inspiration from art. Some folks get inspiration from walking in the forest. I think Ive is one of those guys that gets inspiration from being out in the world. I think he really likes going to conferences and traveling and obviously being British, likes being back home in Britain, likes being in Europe in general. I think he takes design cues and inspiration from literally around the world. And being kind of trapped at one infinite loop by the day-to-day managerial tasks don't allow him to travel and get that inspiration. So I think that's what we're going to say. I think you're going to see in 6 months, Johnny Ive is going to be the keynote speaker at a design conference in Singapore. And you'll hear about him doing something in France. And he'll be traveling in Africa. He'll be going around the globe getting inspiration, not only for him, but also for the company and for the other people in it. So keep an eye on this story. I don't read too much into it, though. Like I said, the promotion is mostly, in my opinion, literally just a promotion. He's going to get more money from Apple, and what happens at Apple when you get promoted. But he's not leaving the company, in my opinion. I don't think he's going to be leaving Apple anytime soon. I do honestly believe that he loves the company. I do also honestly believe, reading the things that he said, that he feels an obligation to Steve Jobs, to the memory of Steve Jobs, to continue the work that the two of them started at Apple. And I don't think Ive is going to be happy with just what he's done at Apple. I think he wants to do more. Now, what more is going to be? I don't know. Will more be a car? I don't think so, but it might. Will more be new devices? Yes, I do believe that. But I don't think he's leaving the company. As Monty says, the biggest thing is he gets new business cards and a much bigger paycheck. What else we got going on this past week in the world? The folks at Recode did their code conference, have been doing it this week, and they had Apple's Jeff Williams. What is his job title? Vice President of Operations. He said at the code conference, the Native Watch SDK, for those folks like Kim who aren't familiar with what SDK means, it means Software Development Kit. If you want to create software for someone's device, you have to use it's easier, to use their software development kit, which is basically the rules of creating software. There's a software development kit for iOS devices, a software development kit for the Macintosh, a software development kit for the Apple Watch, as William said, will be revealed at WWDC next month. To me, the interesting part about that story is that he says the Apple Software Development Kit will give developers direct access to the sensors on the Apple Watch. That is really interesting to me. What that means is Apple is opening up the kimono, as the saying goes, to developers to, rather than have to go through Apple's apps in order to access the sensors, the heartbeat, and those kinds of things, they'll be able to do it directly. And what does that mean? Well, it means, in general, more people will be able to use those sensors. And they'll be able to use them in ways that Apple probably hasn't thought of. Let's say, for example, there's 200 people at Apple working on coding things for the Apple Watch. Well, there's roughly 1 million people who want to code for the Apple Watch. 200 people came up with 200 ideas. 1 million people come up with 1 million ideas. Not all the ideas are going to be good, but not all of Apple's ideas are good too. What's going to happen is 3 months to 6 months after the WWDC, we're going to start seeing how these very, very clever developers will start using this SDK in ways that Apple hasn't done, possibly hasn't thought of, or hasn't wanted to do. I don't know what those are going to be. I know it means that they'll have direct access to the heart rate monitor, which might give them more incentive to develop exercise apps. Or we're going to see an app, I know we're going to see an app, where when you start texting a loved one who has an Apple Watch, the heart rate thing will start, the taptic engine will start tapping on your wrist. So you know they've started it to type to you, which is kind of neat. So you're sitting there at your office, you're working away, and rather than right now, you hear the bing of iMessage, and you look up and you read the iMessage. When the person starts typing, this starts tapping, and you'll know, oh, so-and-so is about to send me a message. And it's the anticipation of the message, which is kind of cool to me. And a bunch of other things. And that's just one thing I've heard of. But there'll be a whole bunch of other things. So it's good that Apple's opening this up to developer community. June 12th is the keynote for the Worldwide Developer Conference. Obviously going to be keynoted by Tim Cook. And remember, though, we say this every year, WWDC is for developers. They may or may not announce products on the stage, but the primary reason, tell Kim this, the Worldwide Developer Conference is like every other computer conference, except any developer conference is focused on the guys who create software for the company's devices. So there's going to be a bunch of programmers there creating software who want to create software for the iPhone, who want to create software for the Macintosh, and who want to create software for the Apple Watch. And what they do is they come and they meet Apple employees, other coders, developers, not marketing people, not product managers, but guys who are actually coding stuff. And they can sit down with them and go, dude, I'm having a problem with this. How do I fix this? And the Apple guy can say, well, you can't do it that way. You have to do it this way. They'll learn about new rules that Apple has for software too. It's like, okay, guys, you used to be able to do this, you can't do this anymore. And the guy will say, but that's how I make my app. Well, here's a different way to do it. It's where the real nitty-gritty work of software comes. There will be a bunch of public announcements. There will be some products announced, probably a new Apple TV. But that's not what the conference is for. The conference isn't for us as consumers. It really isn't for average Joes who use Macs, who use iPhones, who use the Apple Watch. It's for those developers who want to code and make money off the Macintosh. So keep that in mind as we hear about WWDC in the next little while. How many of you guys, send me an email. I forgot to mention this. Been away for a month, but our email hasn't changed. Still on air at yourmaclifeshow.com, or during the week, Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. Or if you want to email, the pretty one, that one over there, Kim at yourmaclifeshow.com. How many of you got an Apple Watch? It's been a month and a half, almost 2 months now, since it was announced, released. How many of you gotten your Apple Watch? How many of you have ordered an Apple Watch but haven't gotten it yet? How many of you haven't gotten an Apple Watch but want to get an Apple Watch? How many of you will not get an Apple Watch? Have your thoughts and opinions of the Apple Watch changed in the last 2 months?
No, I still want one. It's just too expensive.
No.
Yeah.
Especially here in Canada. I mean, it's $700 bucks.
Yeah.
For an Apple Watch here in Canada. That's not cheap.
No.
That's really expensive. I don't know if that was that for the base version up here in Canada? Or was that for the stainless steel one?
Yeah, that was not the total sport. It was a stainless steel with a
sport band.
Sport band.
So the stainless steel, the nice stainless steel with a sport band, with a cheap band, for us here in Canada, is $700. I can't justify that. I can't see myself spending that kind of money. Now, don't get me wrong. I see the value in the Apple Watch for a lot of people. But I think for me, the value comes from you and I having one for the heartbeat thing, for the communication aspects of it, the drawing little pictures, for the exercise aspect of it. Interesting article, and I rarely say this, interesting article from Marco Arment over at marco.org about filling the green circle. And it's really kind of a neat article from Marco talking about how the green circles are getting him to exercise more. And what I mean by the green circles, for those who may not be familiar with the Apple Watch, just can't pull this up. We can't. New local desktop presenter, save settings. Oops. Select window. Hang on, folks. All right, now try it. Oh, there we go. So what Marco is talking about is those yellow and green and red circles that pop up on your Apple Watch when you exercise. One is, I believe, for standing. One is for calories. And one is for exercise. And apparently he's gotten really into making sure that he fills up his little circles, all three of his little circles, every single day. And the article is interesting because he talks about how he'll go walking more than he did in the past simply to fill up with green circles. And he'll go in different routes. He takes his dog with him. And it's an interesting article. I think, that was Apple's goal. And it was certainly something I thought about when I first saw the Apple Watch, that it may not be the watch for triathletes. It may not be the watch for hardcore marathoners. But I think it's the fitness watch for the average person who doesn't do much now. The geeks, the sedentary folks like myself, and even you. I mean, you're not as active as you should be. None of us are, for the most part. You know, Kim is not out of shape by any way, shape, or form. I've got a perfectly good shape, too. It's round. Don't laugh when I say that. That's just rude. What are you going to be like that for? What should you have said?
That's right.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
No.
No, but
what you should have said was, no, honey, you're not round.
Yeah, let's get off you and go back to the
God.
Apple Watch. And I said that because when people were complaining that, oh, I don't think it's going to be accurate enough and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. It's your goal. It's your starting point. And like he says, you just want to fill up your circle. Keep it real simple. But it means he's doing more than he was doing a month ago.
And it turns out the Apple Watch is quite accurate. Its heartbeat monitor is very, very accurate. Its step monitor is very accurate. I don't know about calories. I haven't read much about that. But certainly heartbeat and step counter are very accurate. I've read several stories about that where they've contrasted and compared them on a treadmill and in real life. It's very accurate. But that's one of the reasons why I would like an Apple Watch, is for the green circles. Because I think that would do exactly what Marco was talking about, exactly what I thought it would do, is you look at your watch at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and see that, say the exercise thing was 3/4 full. All right, you know what? I'm going to go mow the lawn. You know, or I'm going to go walk around the block.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to go play fetch with the dog.
Right.
Or play with the kids. Something. I think
it's a good thing.
It certainly is a good thing because you don't have to go to a gym and work out for 2 hours every single day to get healthier. What all doctors recommend is you do something for 30 minutes a day. Get your heart rate up a little bit. Doesn't be 200 beats a minute, but get your heart rate up a little bit for 30 minutes a day. And it's actually not that hard. And I've learned this too. It turns out the more out of shape you are, the easier that is to do.
Yeah, your heart rate goes.
Your heart rate gets up a lot faster, a lot sooner.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a hardcore athlete and say your resting heart rate's 40 or 50, which is not unusual,
Mm-hmm.
to get it up to 100 is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a schlub, get my heart up to 100, takes this. There we go. You know, it doesn't take much. So it wouldn't take that much activity. And 30 minutes of activity a day, combined with a more sensible diet, with cutting back, not down or off, some of the crappy food that we all eat, again, because we're sedentary, can make a difference, can absolutely make a difference. I've been using this little app, again, it's a free app called MyFitnessPal. From Under Armour, the company. And it's one of those cool, enjoy my, don't ask me again, go away. What it does is it keeps a diary of the food you've eaten over time. So you give it your stats, your height, your weight, your age, and your goals. So I told it I weigh 245 pounds and I want to weigh 210 pounds in 6 months. So it says, okay, based on who you are, here's the number of calories you can eat a day. We'll give you credit for calories that you burn in exercise. And it's got a huge database of food in it. My favorite morning snack are 2 Kellogg's Nutri-Grain bars, which are probably good for me, and 10 Biscoff cookies, which are probably not.
No.
But what I discovered was the cookies aren't as bad as I thought they were. I would have 10. Everyone, I would dunk them in my coffee. I dunk them and eat them. That's why I sit here, bars, dunk them and eat them. But if I cut back to just 8 of them,
Mm-hmm.
I'm below my calorie limit for that meal. Okay. Rather than having 10 cookies, I'm having 8 cookies. And then in a month's time, 2 months' time, maybe I'll have 6 cookies. You know, and cut back on the cookies. And maybe add an apple in there, or banana, or an orange, whatever it might be. That's the other thing about getting new teeth. I can eat apples again. I haven't eaten an apple in 10 years. And I thought it was because I didn't like apples. Well, no, it's because my mouth hurt when I chewed apples. So it doesn't take a lot of effort to start managing your health and fitness, your weight. You don't have to work really hard at it. Do what you can for 6 months and see what kind of difference it makes. The MyFitness app lets me put in my weight on a daily basis. So you get a scale, and daily, weekly, whatever it is, you weigh yourself. So for a month, I'm going to eat fairly normally and see how many times I'm over my calorie limit, how many times I'm below it. Generally my daily eating, I'm a little bit above my calorie limit. So it's not going to take much exercise to get below that. So myfitnesspal.com is the website if you want to check it out. Mosquito says, we use these for handy portable protein for when we might miss a meal. epicbar.com. It's a good idea. I've been trying to get you to do that, is to carry around little snack bars just for when you get hungry. What happens is you don't eat lunch and you're starving at supper time. So you just have a huge plate of food that you stuff into your face. And you go sit on the couch the rest of the day.
Yeah, I know.
That's not what you're supposed to do.
No.
You should eat small. If you have to, eat more smaller meals. 4 or 5 meals a day that are just smaller meals.
Yeah.
Like every 2-3 hours to take the edge off. And then you're not getting home and you're starving and you eat like 4 pounds of rice. You binge eat, exactly. So if you get a chance to read that article from Marco Ament, Filling the Green Circle, it's pretty cool. I like it. And oh yeah, and 9 to 5 Mac. What Johnny Ive's promotion to Chief Design Officer really means? Sweet all. Doesn't mean anything. Really, kids, I don't think it's going to mean a damn thing. I'm going to wrap things up here with an interesting story. I don't know how many of you folks believe in ghosts or supernatural or stuff like that. There is a book I read when I was a kid. I was 10 years old. First of all, obviously I had a bad mother, because why are you letting a 10-year-old reading ghost stories? Don't let a 10-year-old kid read stories called Bluenose Ghosts. Oh my God, it was scary. It was, because it was true.
Oh.
This wasn't This wasn't a book of the fiction.
Oh, it's like a history.
Yeah, it was a history of the superstitions of Nova Scotianers called Bluenose Ghosts by Dr. Helen Creighton. It's available on Amazon.com. I should post it up on our Amazon list. And I found out later in life, most maritime people, fishermen, sailors, are
Very superstitious.
superstitious. So she was a famous folklorist in the 50s in Nova Scotia. And she had been going around collecting folk songs. And apparently while she was sitting around talking to these folks one time, they started telling her these superstitions and ghost stories. And she turns out she thought that was much more interesting than folk songs. And so she collated these in a book called Bluenose Ghosts. One of the ghost stories that I heard as a kid was of a place called Oak Island. Have you ever heard of Oak Island?
I've heard of it.
Oak Island is a place off the coast of Nova Scotia. Actually, it's off the western shore where my little sister lives. There's a story I can tell at some other point in time. Oak Island was discovered in 1795. A teenager named Daniel McGinnis saw basically a hole in the ground. He started digging in it. And the story goes from there. Where'd my mouse go? There's a great website called Atlas Obscura. Has the story of the Oak Island website, or the Oak Island. People have been digging on that rock for 200 years now because something is down there.
I think there was a TV show.
Oh, there's been several.
Yeah,
there's been
channels. Yeah.
There's one TV show called the Curse of Oak Island.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of movies about it, a couple of documentaries about it. When you're a kid in Nova Scotia, everyone knows about Oak Island. There were ghosts on the island, Blackbeard's ghost or Captain Kidd's ghost or whatever it might be. Rumors have been about everything from Captain Kidd and Blackbeard's ghost to Marie Antoinette's jewels to all kinds of the Ark of the Covenant is down there. It's just insane. Well, because somebody built something down there. When they started digging, they found coconut shelves. Coconuts don't grow in Nova Scotia. Someone had to bring the coconuts there. They're coconut husk shelves. There are other shelves, other wood down there that doesn't come from Nova Scotia that someone brought there. I think about 100 years ago, somebody found a link of gold chain, and that made everyone go just insane. Hunk of gold. There are tunnels that are designed to, when you get too deep, to flood the hole that you just dug.
Oh, so it's like a booby trap.
Booby trapped. So why would you booby trap an empty hole? Maybe you would booby trap an empty hole to distract people from something else. But it's a really interesting story.
Oh, wow.
I posted this to Loop, and I wrote that it's really interesting, not for the treasure, but for the looking for the treasure. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the President of the United States, was involved in an Oak Island treasure hunt. Elvis was involved in an Oak Island treasure hunt. It's really kind of weird how many people have been involved. If you have a chance to read the story, it's really interesting. If you have a chance to read more about Oak Island, please do. It's a wonderful little legend of my home province of Nova Scotia. Folks, that's it for tonight. I want to say thanks very much for you guys for being tuned in. This is an abbreviated show, and hopefully you understand why it was a bit abbreviated. As I get more practice talking, we'll go to the longer shows. We will have Jim Downpour from The Loop on next week. We'll make sure we'll get him back on the show next week, and we're back into our regular groove on next week's show. So until then, as always, I want to say thanks to you guys very much for being here tonight. As always, she's been
Kim.
And I've been Shawn King, and you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya!